All right, joining us now, our good friend, golf professional emeritus, also head of sales, also a lifetime member of the PGA, Hall of Fame member for Caribbean golf. Gilles, what other title do you have that I don't get to? Oh, hold on, I forgot the most important title for the time being. The man overseeing the renovation to one of the most anticipated renovations in many, many years. Teeth of the Dog. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad to hear from one of my Canadian partner.
That's it. I got to be honest with you. We've been super excited. The year has flown by, really. Let's start, I guess, with where we're at. Where are we in terms of the life of the project? Are we on schedule? Have we hit the timelines? Are all systems go?
I'll tell you what, all systems are go. I went around yesterday, drove all 18 holes, and I'm going to tell you, it looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, if it wasn't when we want to give him a little time, to mature, we could have teed it up yesterday. So it's fantastic. The grass is coming along. I mean, cross our fingers now. We haven't had any storm this year, really. We've had some good rain, which has helped. And basically now we're working on the out edge of the, where all the tractors and all the equipment goes, from hole to holes. We're trying to do that, but it's really looking good. I mean, I'm always a little concerned that, things might change a little too much, but we've put some tees that were there before that had been blown away by hurricanes, or Pete had changed stuff just for the idea that he wanted to go a little here and there. And, Pete liked to, you always like to mess around. You could never come in here and be quiet. You always have to be moving something. So, I mean, it's looking great. And we're scheduled right now to have a cut and ribbon ceremony on about December 6th. But we're going to do a grand opening more after we mature more in March, the way it looks right now, to do like our grand opening type of thing. But people will be playing between, after the 11th.
That is unbelievable. We're excited. Bob, Adam, and I will be there after the opening, so we're going to get a sneak peek. We're going to shoot a television special and unveil this for Canadian golf fans who are super excited. I'm curious, Jill, because once you put the shovel in the ground, golf courses, things are living, they're breathing. I'm curious as to, was there a part of this renovation that you think is a big win that you weren't anticipating? I know you had, obviously, we're going, wall to wall past Palom. We're going to get some square footages of the greens back, some tees back that you mentioned. And you checked all the boxes. Was there something you found out along the way that you think is maybe a really big improvement or a big win in this renovation that you weren't anticipating?
I'm sorry about that. Well, I think that the important things is that we added 3 inches of sand on the green. I mean, on the fairways, which made a huge difference. When we first built the Teeth of the Dog, it was right on coral. So what happened was, it got to be, every time you start taking some divots and things like this. So we were really close to the coral, and it got to be really hard. But they decided to go in and strip all the fairways. We took out about a couple inches, and now we added 3 inches of sand everywhere. So this was, millions of dollars that the company was willing to invest. And I think, looking at the fairway yesterday, originally there was a lot of more of the, everything was kind of bumpy and everything. And
Sure.
now you have these smooth curve to them, but it looks so much better. I mean, I was just blown away, and all the bunkers have been revived. The front end has been kind of lowered up a little bit in the back end, so the holes are framed. The greens look fantastic. There's not really one thing that I can really look at, but I
Sure.
think with the difference a little bit in this, we kept some of the original grass on the rough, and which that kind of a little different color. So that frames everything, Signa grass, they call it. And they've been putting that on both sides. And And I'm going to tell you, you look at it now, and it's amazing. The second hole, we've added a tee on the other side of the road, and for the guys, obviously, the good players now from the back tee, they were hitting 5 iron, to get it to
Yeah.
about 250. Now we put it about 50, 60 yards back, and it's between trees. And I'm going to tell you something. All of a sudden, that hole went from being like yay wide to, all of a sudden now you look at the driving. Yeah, it's fantastic. So I just think that the course got old, and it got, I mean, with all the play you get, things get worn out. Like you said, green gets smaller. The greens have got a little different shape, and the bunkers settled. And all of a sudden now it's like, God, it's a facelift, really. A good one, though. I've seen a lot of bad facelift, but
This is the high end California facelift.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
High-end California facelift for sure, but it looks really fantastic.
So I'm assuming number two is the hole that is going to play most different. Is there a hole that visually pops now for you personally, where you go, "Wow, this particular hole"? I know the framing of the golf course with the different grass you just mentioned. Now adding the paspalum, edging of the bunkers, lifting the faces, so the eye will pick those up more in the sight lines. Is there a particular hole in your mind that maybe isn't going to play any different, but for you visually just looks so much more stimulating now?
Well, I think the sixth hole, if you remember number six, we
Mhm.
had tees that were really close to the water on the left side. And this was a big discussion. That was put in after one day because the tees were more on the right, away from the ocean. And I said to Pete, "Why are the tees so far up, far away?" And out of the blue, he came in and put a bunch of, tees there. And with the renovation, when you came over after five, the little par three, which is probably one of the best par three in the world,
My
we
favorite
came
hole.
around, got over the top, and then you saw this brick wall, or they weren't brick, but they were rock wall with a set of tees. And it just took away visually what, when you came up of it, you could see the shore and then the fairway down in, maybe at about two from the back tee, it's about 200 yards to carry. So it took a while for us to discuss that, but eventually we decided it was better to take those out and put them back where they were originally. And I think it makes it so much visually so much better. I mean, it just open up, when you come around, it's like, wow, here we go, and so I think this is going to change because you're going to play more to the right. So you're kind of going straighter at the hole versus coming across, which to me, it's always harder. I'd rather go across a hazard than going parallel to one. You get enough to carry, you'd get over it. When you start, hooking it or cutting it and you go parallel to a hazard, then a lot of time you end up in the hazard. But yeah, I like that better. I'm trying to think a couple, we lost a tree on number 12, but we planted another one. So that's going to be a little time to mature. But, you know, man, I can't wait to just put the tee, and go play because I've played it thousands of time over 44 years, and I've seen changes, but this thing looks like it was like everything looks clean, everything looks so, appealing. It's a totally different look. I mean, I don't even have a word to describe it, but it's just amazing. When I went there yesterday and I drove a couple of holes, it was like, my God, this thing looks like it's just open now, brand new. And it's very impressive. I'd say Jerry Pate did an amazing job with his staff. And, I was a little concerned. Jerry likes to do things, but he kept basically it was a renovation. It was not, you renovate you up, it didn't change really that much. And the few things that changed, it was something that had been moved from storm or because, settling down or something like that.
By the sounds of it, he kept Pete's vision intact. It's a restoration, it's a renovation. Maybe made a hole or two here a little stronger, some improvements you say being worn over time, but it's still teeth of the dog, to your point.
Absolutely. And Pete changed a few things, I mean, and like, that Pete Dye became, I didn't know when I got here 44 years a year, but Pete Nellis Dye became my best friend. I actually put his ashes on the teeth of the dog when he passed away. And the thing with Pete, he's always messed around. You know, that would have been great. Like even Mona Lisa, he probably would have put a mustache on that thing. I mean, he always, there were times I used to say, Pete, this really doesn't look any better, but like I said, you want to, always like to do things, and some of the things that he had taken away that really didn't turn to be as good as he redid it. So now they were put back in, through looking at pictures and things like this. So, and then the way the kids are hitting it right now, how far they hit the ball, these 350 yard or 325 yards. Oh, I mean, that's nothing. They just whip it out there. So we've added some new tees here and there. Some Pete already had there, but instead of having there at say 350, we put him up at, we put another one at about 400, let's say, or 4.25, like number 2. Number 3, we've added some distance. We've done 4. We've kind of made him a little more accessible from the back tee because it got to be, it was super narrow. 5 is about the same. 6, the same. We've added some tees. 7's pretty much the same. 8. I tell you what, 5 and 8 is amazing because if you remember 5, we had a little rock wall on the left side there that you could see that was in the ocean. We had put some like a breaker, and we did that 30 years ago. Well, now they've added a whole bunch of rocks out there, which is more of a little buffer from the wave, and it looks so nice. And they've raised the green, I mean the bunker on the left side of the green, and did the same thing on 8. The tee that sits on the ocean, we've, the rocks were up, and now we've lowered all the rocks and put them more out there. But now when you get on the tee, you literally feel you're going to just walk in right into the water, like an infinity pool type of thing. But that's an infinity tee. So, yeah, there's, some addition, a little distance on 16, also the back tee there on the par 3. But it's hasn't changed the tee to the dog. It's still Pete Dye's tee to the dog.
Well, I can't wait to see it. We're going to do ribbon cutting in early December when I'm there, and then middle of the month, open it up for some tentative play in all likelihood for some guests of Casa de Campo. And then March, it looks like a big grand opening. I know Bob and Adam can't wait to get there as well. Gilles, before we let you go, if Pete Dye was here with us and was able to see what's been accomplished at Teeth of the Dog, what do you think Pete would say to you today?
Well, that gives me a few goosebumps over there, but I think he would be very proud that we kept, what we did. When he got dementia really bad, probably about a couple months before he passed, I took him out there. By then, he didn't really know what was going on much, and I took him on number 6, and we sat there and we were looking down the shore on both sides. And I said to him, I said, Pete, you did good. You did really good. And I still remember he had a little water in his eyes, that he understood that or not. But I know he loved when we put him on the cart and drove around. And I think he'd be proud that, we took one of the best golf course that's ever been designed. Originally there was no golf course with 6, 7, 8 holes on the water. There wasn't. And so that was the one that actually got people started to do other, to do whole golf course like that. So it was a pioneer. And I think that he would sit there and, well, he's on the teeth anyway right now. So I'm sure he's got some big smile. He got a big smile on his face. I think he's very proud of what's been done. And he's happy that we continue on. And I'm happy that I can continue on bringing people, from all over the world to experience probably one of the best golf resort in the world.
Gilles, it is one of the best places in the world. One of my favorite places in the world. I'll see you in a few weeks, and I can't wait to see it with my own eyes. Thanks so much for the time, and Canada's excited to see the new Teeth of the Dog.
Well, oh, Canada, and look forward to have Canadians over there. All right. Take care. Thank you very much for having me.